Good evening, guys, and welcome to a new episode 8 to be exact, of Around the Pit. Here tonight on this Sunday evening, glad to have you guys join us just as a means of housekeeping so that you guys know if you're looking forward to the next couple of episodes. We will not be having an episode on Super Bowl weekend, and that is because I will be probably unable to host a show that night, but we'll leave that to be what it is. Now, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. First, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors who make the show possible. Razer, Asus, the Republic of Gamers, who is giving us a lot of the stuff that we put inside of the computer, but most importantly, the Pro-Built Systems guys who custom built a computer specifically to put this show on. As many of you know, the show went off the air for 2 months, and that was largely because I did not have a computer that could run it. Pro-Built Systems stepped up and said, we love the show, we want you to host it. Here's the computer that can do it. So kudos and big shout out to those guys. I appreciate you doing it. If you want to follow me, it's ToffeesTV over on Twitter. But let's get to the important folks who are here for the evening. My guests, the ones who are going to bring you unfettered joy. And I think that you're going to enjoy what they've got for you tonight. First, on my left, going across
That's a tall order, man. Unfettered joy. I don't know if I can guarantee that.
I believe in you.
I'm going to bring despair and destruction.
Well,
because of you said that.
Classic Toby.
Classic Toby. And while we're introducing him, up on the top left, this is TobiWan Dota. You know him. I know him. There's really no need for introduction. Glad he could be joining us at 2 a.m. CET. Stayed up late for this bad boy. How you doing tonight, Toby?
Yeah, not too bad. Actually, quite awake.
Awesome. Well, it's good you're awake because you've got a big order, and that is taking on the man in the middle. He's got the middle position because he won last week, cashed in the Aegis on the show when he heard Toby was going to be stopping by. Said he, and I believe you said, I get to dumpster Toby. Here's my Aegis, was the exact word. So excited to see what he's got for us tonight. It's Mr. Alan Bester, the professor of Dota at Nahaz Dota is where you can find him. How you doing tonight, Nahaz?
I'm doing great, and I wish I could say that that quote was false, but that's 100% on point. Welcome to the dumpster, Toby.
Welcome.
I'm
to the
interested
dumpster.
to see what shit you're going to be throwing at me.
I'm excited about it too. I've got plenty of my point finger is ready to go. And last but not least, Matt Demers joining us as well. He is on the far right of your screen. Now,
Hello.
Matt is you probably have heard of him if you've read articles on the Score app that he worked with for a while. He's doing freelance now, writing for a couple of different places, I think, as well. Matt, tell us what you're up to these days, and how are you doing tonight?
Man, I wish it was as interesting as you made me seem. No, I left the Score Esports in November. I've been just trying to figure out kind of where I'm heading next, just doing a lot of freelancing stuff myself. I'm also looking at I'm working on a project just to pretty much turn my grind to get better at Dota into something. It's called Better Dota. So that's pretty much what I've been working on, just playing a lot of Dota, trying to get my rank MMR up and, just, learning the game a little bit more. And as many people have said, I am a discount K-pop-tosis. I don't see the resemblance, but Nahaz says in chat.
Are you serious? Are
I
you
don't see the
serious?
resemblance. K-pop-tosis. I really don't. I
I
don't.
see,
I wear
I see what
glasses.
you're talking about.
But
I see.
Everything
You sound the same, Nahaz.
Well, you're like the Clark Kent to his super.
I'll take the Clark Kent. I'll take Lois
All right.
Lane married Clark Kent, not Superman.
So, in the interest of time, let me explain to you guys the rules in case you haven't seen it before, and then we'll jump right into this thing. First, all you have to know is that it is relatively simple. Every topic has 8 to 11 minutes. No surprise there, as it is a Roche-themed show. At the end of the topic time, I will ring a buzzer that sounds like this. That means we are done talking. This is the only thing that holds power in this show. It is the buzzer. And I will play that. The end of the topic continues and we go on to the next one. The other big thing is I'll be giving out points throughout the entire discussion phase. If it's a good point, a funny point, or just something that's generally interesting, you'll get a point for it. If it's completely stupid, I reserve the right to take points away for that as well. At the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins the Aegis behind me, and they can use that to return to the show anytime they want, as Nahaz chose to do when he heard that Toby was stopping by. So that's the basic gist of the show. The winner will also get a 1-minute soapbox at the end of the show to talk about anything they want. We've added a lightning round this week that should be entertaining. I will not tell you what the question is, as we'll wait until we get there for you to hear it, and it's the last chance to buy some points. Finally, the last rule, and this is my favorite because it never gets used, is at any point during the contest, any of you gentlemen can ask for a soapbox. That gives you 1 minute uninterrupted to talk about the topic and get some extra points if you need it. So that's the rules. They're as simple as could be. Let's jump right off with Around the Pit. First topic up, EG and Secret and Manila. Basically, both teams say no. EG led the charge and said it first. Secret followed suit. Is there anything to talk about here, or is it just a case of we don't like flying?
No, it's we don't want to take a 12 to 16 hour plus flight for a single elimination tournament where we could play one best of 3 and be done.
I really don't think that there's anything more to that, to be honest. It's literally like if I had to make the choice between going, for a weekend, 16-hour flight, I probably wouldn't either. And considering they're going to be going, like, say, perfect world, they're going to be going twice. They're going to be going for ESL Manila, and then they're going to be going for the major again. It's like, you know what? If I could use that time in order to spend on whatever else, and then kind of get look, you got to look at it this way. They're going to be going for the major. They're going to be doing all their fan interaction, their meetups and that kind of stuff during that time. Why would they double dip? Why couldn't they just spend time scrimming or building synergy? I don't know, all those kind of buzzwords about what teams do in their off time that we don't really know. Why would you go twice? Like Nahaz said, the single elimination thing has got to be like on their minds. It could just be literally a giant waste of time. And I know that kind of like once the Manila major got announced, I could only imagine all the alarm bells that were going off at ESL for ESL Manila. But it's like, if I had to choose, if I was EG or Secret, I would rather be in Manila for the major where we have Valve, not Valve, but
Wow.
preferably hopefully better treatment than they might get from ESL. I don't know. It's
I don't know about that, but
we don't know.
The other role,
Yeah.
you look at the team,
That could be completely wrong.
and EG has just flown to Russia for Star Ladder. They've done, or to Minsk for Star Ladder. They've just been, they'll just have been to China for MDL. It's a lot of travel. It really is a lot of travel, and this is a team that scrims a lot. They need that prep time for Manila.
Okay.
Major. I mean,
is there any value to the idea that having a chance to go before the major would allow you to sort of get comfortable in Manila and make a better performance? No?
not for this team. It could be for another team. I could see that. But EG's a team that already has done extensive international travel. They have their acts together. They know the landscape. They have a very well-prepared manager and staff. They will be ready for travel.
If I also had to look at it, you look at people, like if you look at the two main keys of their squad, obviously they, everyone is valuable in EG. I'm saying this
that Toby face is priceless.
Well, I was wondering if I'd even get to talk when.
No problem. Sorry, I apologize. You can go.
No, it's funny because you guys started off assuming that it's actually just a single elimination bracket. No format for ESL 1 has been confirmed. It is ESL, so probably they are running a single in bracket, but they also did a pre-group stage to ESL Frankfurt previously.
That's what I've been told. Obviously, everything I've been told is subject to change, but
yeah. And a lot of what gets told recently is either misinformation or information to try and just stop people from asking questions. So it's one of these things where a lot of people don't understand.
When I say told, Toby, I don't mean Reddit, by the way.
Yeah, I know. You probably just mean James.
Yeah, okay. I mean someone at ESL, but anyway.
Yeah. But they you never know. Like ESL can always change their plans. At the same time, like,
but I actually told, I told certain people who you've named that if it wasn't going to be single elimination, that they needed to announce that up front. Because
I was going to say, it's like, okay, if you're losing Secret and ES or an EG, who are two of the biggest ticket drawers, why wouldn't they let them know?
They lost them the second people realized there was the schedule clash, because that's the primary thing. It's traveling from one side of the world to the other, then traveling back, and then traveling again. Yes, teams need to balance out their schedule so they get some downtime to scrim and develop. That's completely understandable. And the fact that they end up clashing as close as they did is just a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes that most people probably never know and really don't need to know. This is what we expected to happen. This is the effect of the majors. Everything 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before the majors is basically shut down. Everything 2 weeks after the majors is shut down. And then you put two majors in before the international begins. I look at my calendar and it's basically, okay, so we've got a qualifier this week, 2-3 weeks down. No, we're now at a major. And then 1 week after, we're back at the qualifier again. This is just what we knew was going to happen to the scene. It's going to get very, very congested with everyone trying to run big tournaments, and ESL only want to run big tournaments. This is the reason why they do these big weekend things. We saw the failure of the Frankfurt Major, actually, as far as local attendance goes. While people may have actually voted that it was one of the best events of the year, it also, from a viewer point of view and an atmosphere point of view, it was pretty terrible at the event, at least from my perspective and from a lot of perspectives which I talked to after it.
Well, I mean, Toby, TI is not exactly like
TI
rocking.
TI is not rocking because everyone's out there in the secret shop trying to buy their favorite plushie to put their dick in.
Okay, fine, but Toby, golly, man. And they say it's us NA people that lack class. What's up, Toby? Go tweet some cosplay, buddy.
All right.
You don't even know what cosplay is.
We're bringing in the heavy guns here.
So just because you spend time talking to Renessa.
I feel like I'm gonna have to start playing mediator here.
Right? I feel like I should be stopping this, but it's so entertaining.
No.
So, okay, as we run low on time here in terms of ESL in general, Toby brought something up that I thought was interesting. The idea that ESL wants to run big tournaments. And Twitch chat was also talking about the fact that they think ESL Manila will be a lot of Eastern SEA teams and a couple of maybe Western teams that are trying to make a name for themselves. Do we need to see more tournaments that are actually designed or targeted at that, or can we keep putting on these sort of big ESL Manila shows?
I mean, it's going to be one of those things where like the organizers are going to want to make money on the event. Like no organizer is going to want to be like, yeah, okay, we want to cater to tier 2 tournaments and have, or tier 2 teams and have a LAN. Like they want to make money off that tournament. They don't want to throw money into a bowl.
At the same time, though, I think ESL. If I know one thing about ESL, it's that they're smart business wise.
Well, we'd hope so. We'd hope so.
That's my opinion from talking to them.
Yeah.
But my point is, I think they see value in establishing a footprint in this region. There isn't really a strong event producer in that region that has a sterling track record. And when maybe not this year, but maybe even going forward in future years, you know, when different organizations, Valve included, are looking to put on events in that area, which is going to happen, guys, I think there's value in having a foothold, even if right now it's not the most just
lucrative
out of the gate.
I'll give you that. Fair.
I would agree. I don't really have a way to disagree with that. It's just like a matter of, I'm always really wary on like how far companies are willing to go in order to, you know, it's a spend money to make money thing, but there's always a limit on how much they want to spend money. So I'm always kind of wary about that.
Well, but partially part of that though is that ESL is one of the few players in the scene that's not severely capital constrained in the short term. Right? ESL is one of the few entities capable of hosting a Dota 2 tournament outside of Valve that actually can afford to take a loss on an event.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, fair enough. It won't overnight be bought out by somebody else without any of us expecting it.
Who knows?
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's it for that topic. Anybody else want to weigh in before we run out of time?
No, I'm good.
All right, that'll be it. So that covers Little Manila. I think we're on the right track as to why those top teams aren't going. I'm curious to see who ends up actually attending it. Ultimately, let's go to the next topic. I'm choosing this one because Toby alluded to it a little bit, I think, with his voting air hashtags that we saw a little while ago. And
what did I do?
Oh, you talked about the voting, the ESL, and some voting talent stuff that was in discussion. Or you said voted for Frankfurt being the best tournament. Yeah. And so what I wanted to bring up was JD, Gozu, Reddit, Liquid, Dota Blast, any website in the world seems to really be into these year-end award things that they do. They give them out. They award the top teams, the top tournaments, the top talent. Is this helpful? Is it hurtful? Is it a sign of growth?
Okay, can I use my soapbox? Can I use my soapbox?
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. What are we soapboxing about this topic?
I am soapboxing specifically about this topic.
All right, you've got 1 minute on the clock. Let me get that set up. 1 minute, ready, and start when you're ready.
Cool. As a member of the media, as someone who has sat at a table and thought, you know what, okay, we need to plan the type of awards or power rankings or that kind of stuff. The entire point of a power ranking is to get this show talking about it, not this one specifically, but just the community talking about it. It isn't even necessarily something that we put a ton of effort into, and not so much in a way that we don't try, but more just we don't try to make it. We try to make it accurate. We try to, do whatever happens, but the main point of it is to get people arguing. The main point is to generate comments. That is the whole point behind them. They are meant to be very low investment, high reward kind of pieces. I'm kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit on this, but power rankings, any kind of year-end awards, anything that where you subjectively say this is the best more than anything, we don't care if we're actually really right. We're caring about whether we generate discussion about arguments. And you know what? If we're talking about them on this show, that means that it did its job. It's up to the person, it's up to the reader to decide whether they actually care enough about that in order to make it a big deal. And if any talent actually legitimately cares about whether they get a year-end award from Go-To Gamers or not, that's their problem. To be honest, it's inconsequential. It should not.
Well, of course they're going to care, but come on. Let's be real here, right? When Time Magazine does its Person of the Year, and when other publications do their year-end awards, it matters because those publications have established credibility by putting out other content that has quality and information in the rest of the year.
Time puts out
is just so freaking bad in general that nobody cares.
Like if someone wins, don't you really enjoy being judged by people who have what were we talking about before we even started the show? It's the ability to respect the opinion of the people who are talking. Do you respect the opinion of anyone that actually was on that Go-To Gamers panel? I saw a bunch of names.
What matters to me, and the reason that I keep doing this, because I don't do it for income, that's for sure, is because when I go to events and when I sit in a room with you guys, I respect the hell out of the people that I'm at those events with. I respect the hell out of those people that are sitting on the panel next to me. I respect the hell out of those people that are cast in the games. That's what matters to me.
Because they put in the work, and it's a what I call a value check. It is something that a large amount of esports is represented by who obviously it's the classic networking thing, but a large amount of it is seeing, hey, is this person working, and is this person working without a direct and almost immediate benefit? Like, are they doing work specifically because they want to be there, or because they want to actually try? I believe all four of us can realize when we see someone trying to get into esports or trying to get into work in general, when they do not have the most genuine motives. They're trying to get the benefit first without paying their dues. Basically, like, that's just a real kind of situation. Going back to Toffee's point about time actually, their Person of the Year thing is actually kind of lucrative, because if you get named Time's Person of the Year, there's a good chance that people are going to pay you money for something. Let's put it back.
So first of all, I was the one that mentioned time, and the point there,
oh, sorry, I apologize.
The point there was a contrast, not an analogy.
No, I know. I'm just saying is, like, that's the difference, is that the best thing that you might be able to get out of like a Go-To Gamers award, literal award, is maybe some followers on social media, and that might translate into something lucrative down the line.
You don't even get that. If anything, you may even lose followers.
No, exactly, and it's just kind of like what's the play? It's just kind of like there's for anyone who gets salty about not getting that kind of award, it's just kind of like if you're the type of person that your self-worth is determined by whether you get included on an internet list or not, I'm really sorry, man. This might not be the industry for you.
Yeah, I would have felt a lot. There would have been a lot of more meaning behind it if I actually had people, like, if there were pro players. Well, let's consider like the category I was in. Like, if there were pro players that were actually saying, you know what, this guy's a really good caster, or this guy's a really good co-caster. If you grab people who have the respect of the community and then come together and say, you know what, we will be the adjudication panel and do this, then you actually have some credibility beyond a clickbait, which is what you were talking about before. Basically, the Go-To Gamers did it. JD didn't even do its awards this time around. Sure. And it's just because all you end up doing is copy pasting. I swear my profile on that Go-To Gamers thing has been copy pasted for the last 4 years.
No, again, guys, the point is in order to, if you want to do this kind of content, it's fine, but you've got to have some content that's not clickbait too.
Right.
Yeah, of course. It's just like
The minute most of these sites start having regularly posted content that's not clickbait, and I'm not trying to hate on anybody in particular. JD, for example, is mostly volunteer writers, and those guys, they do a great job with what they've got. But for a lot of these websites, there's not that much in the way of non-clickbait content, and so I can't bring myself to care.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like I said, it's a very low investment, high reward thing because it gets people talking and it can vastly outstrip. Look, I tend to judge.
But where's the high reward?
High reward is in the discussion. The fact that we're talking about this 2 months later or a month later than when the awards actually, that's the high reward.
When's the last? I just don't know the last time. I don't remember the last time I read one of these actual sites and read an article that made me go, wow, that's some real insight about that.
Yeah, and that's the reason why we're shitting on them right now. Like, to be honest, that's.
I feel okay. All right, I'm gonna stop because I feel like a dick. But
no, it's fine. I'm not saying, like, I'm mostly just saying from my perspective anyway. It's like you have to understand that clicks are clicks, and we can talk about them in a negative way, but there are going to be people in this chat that are going to open that story because we're talking about it right now, and that like if we look at the lifespan of that kind of piece of content, you are creating it literally probably in a day's worth of work. And then the longer that people talk about it, that extends the lifespan of the story. So the fact that those came out in December and they are still getting talked about as we're getting into late January and early February, that is very good longevity for the amount of effort that you're putting into that piece. Because people disagree with it, because people argue about it, that it's worth it in terms of the amount of views that you're getting over a long period of time and the amount of discussion that you're generating. Like, you write those stories so people disagree with you so that they get engaged in your brand and they like that. Like that. The thing is I think.
But that's the problem with 95% of the esports related.
That's just internet content
is
general.
Flapping of gums.
Nahaz, what do you expect though?
Where's the real content?
No one pays for the real content. No one pays
who
for
is
real
trained?
content.
Okay, there's no money to pay people to do it full time. There is no training in this regard, and the people who are training are people who are volunteers and are only training out their life experiences. There's no real professionals in this industry.
Let me ask you this, and I think.
Okay,
Sorry, Matt.
There are smart people in this industry.
No, I literally ran a team of people getting paid full time and benefits in order to do this kind of stuff. And you know what would happen is we were saying that there's no money in the actual the non-clickbait content, whatever. It's like we would see someone,
I expected, Matt. By the way, I expected you to push back on me harder about this.
Oh, no worries.
You guys produce some pretty good content.
No, here's my pushback.
Here's
my pushback. Because I'm still trying to be Canadian about this. I'm still trying to be polite. You're the transplant, so you have a little bit more of the gumption there. My point is that, like, even with people that have full-time jobs and benefits, so literally all they are doing is paying attention to esports. I'm obviously going to bring up a kind of a persona non grata around here, but our League of Legends writers pretty much had salary benefits. That's more than most esports writers will ever have. They have multiple hours, multiple days, even say half a week or even an entire week to generate an entire, good breakdown of a team's macro play or micro play or how, extraneous factors in the meta might turn around, that kind of stuff. You know what happens to those pieces? They don't make it to the front page of Reddit, so they don't turn out to be cost effective. You know what is the dumbest shit is when you take a story from some random Twitter, the dumbest example of this was when it was a very slow news day and I looked at Pain Gaming. They had one player that on their League of Legends team in Brazil that had a collapsed lung. And I thought, you know what? It's a really slow news day. Let's write up a spot news about it. That stayed on the front page of Reddit for literally 36 hours because people were making collapsed lung jokes. And that's what
let me ask you this. Let me jump in. Let me jump in here and ask you this question. It seems to me like there's a big discrepancy of, well, there's no money in it for journalists, therefore it's tough to create good content. My question is this: how do you motivate good content in an environment where it's difficult to get the information? For instance, it was a topic in an article Scancer wrote about how NFL players, NBA players are trained, like interviews are part of the job, quote unquote.
It's in their contracts.
It's in their contracts. And this is before we go into it. I will just say this, and it's private information. I won't say what team or what players, but I've been looking for interviews and guests for the show. I was told for multiple players that in order to get them to do a 20-minute interview or appear on a show like this, it would cost 4 figures to have them do a 20-minute appearance.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Where do you find that money to create the content if it costs $1,000 to get someone for 20 minutes?
From my perspective, I've never had anyone ever demand payment in order to do this kind of thing. But you have to realize, Tavi, this is going to sound like I'm shitting on you, and I apologize. Very, very, thing. Where is the value in them coming on this show?
No, I agree completely, 100%.
When evil geniuses could take softball questions from people who that would be crowd pleasers. Look at the HyperX 20 questions thing where they asked Artur, whether he would sleep with Wind Ranger or Drow Ranger or something like that. Mm-hmm. That type of stuff hits the front page of Reddit like nothing, and it's like that is what I look at it as. We saw it at TI, Na'Vi, Virtus Pro, Empire. They all had people with GoPros and microphones following them around and following their players around. They would get more access to the journalists because they'd be technically part of the team, not as press. So they'd be able to go where the press weren't able to go. So that means they are able to give more exclusive content than the press are able to. And because they are technically part of the team, Dendy is going to give that guy a video every day. And 100% of the benefit is going to go back to Na'Vi and the players. Right now, the press have nothing to offer players besides a chance to embarrass themselves and the chance to say something that their sponsors are going to hate or the community is going to hate, when in reality evil geniuses, they're going to be able to take that same interview that you want to do, and they're going to be able to do it themselves, edit all the bad stuff that they don't want this monster.
Okay, this
and
topic
they get 100% of the bet.
This topic has become extremely boring. I'm sorry, Toby.
I know it's a content discussion, and that's, to be honest, for the majority of esports fans, they don't want to hear about that. Mm-hmm. It's how the sausage gets made.
We'll leave with how the sausage gets made, because I feel like that was strangely sexual in a weird way. All right, let's jump on to the next one. And
you've got me craving for a sausage roll right now. Thank you very much, Matt.
Oh, well then that'll take us to
I got some in my freezer right now. I should make some for you.
Oh, I'm so fucking jelly of you.
Oh, that's funny. All right, so I've got steak and vegetables on the docket, but we're gonna do this very short. I don't even want to do a full 8 minutes on this one, but I was asked a lot. It was brought up on some forums when I asked for topics. Some people asked me personally. Steak gaming and vegetable gaming are this sort of new idea of Dota personalities who are now sort of making these teams that are performing surprisingly well or doing a great job. Is this a flash in the pan, or are we going to see these analysts leave the league?
No. You've gotten the complete wrong part of what vegetable and steak is. They're literally 2 different types of food.
Yeah, they're not even the same
team.
They're not even the same.
Which is steak is looking to be professional. Actually. Be a competitor at the majors. Vegetables is a bunch of people that band together, they stream out their own play, and they just have fun while being in a competitive environment.
But the irony is
they've realized they can add quite a lot of value to their own brands by doing so, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I love the most about vegetable, is that they're like I said, lifting the veil a little bit and letting us, they don't care if they actually win qualifiers and shit. They got jobs otherwise, but it allows us to get what we've always wanted, and to get that 100% comms from start to finish, unedited, whatever. And I still if Purge a couple nights ago, did anyone watch that vegetable esports versus NIP? NIP's CSGO team wanted to play vegetable, they wanted to scrim.
Oh wow!
Well, they did it. It was amazing because we got to see, NIP CSGO team, who are amazing, obviously at CSGO, try to beat vegetable esports, and it was just a thing. But each one of the players of vegetable esports brings something to the table. Each of them have different personalities that people emotionally connect with. So you can follow the one game from multiple perspectives, and it's just you have that flavor that works. The Spice Girls.
They're all very, with the exception of.
Please don't call them Spice Girls.
They're like the Spice Girls. You've got a flavor for everyone. You've got a flavor for everyone. It's I think. I don't know. I think Merlini is Posh Spice.
What is this show?
Merlini is Posh Spice.
No.
I think Purge is Baby
ice cream.
All right,
Ice cream is fine, but don't make them Spice Girls. You may as well fucking just be calling him like a Sergey.
That's funny.
I got muted.
I did. I put you in timeout for a second. Nahaz, where are we going? I think you were on something. Nahaz got rage face. This is good.
This is not rage face. This is what the hell happened to one of my favorite shows face. We went to Spice Girls.
Matt Demers ruins everything.
Life is crazy.
I was actually waiting for the Nahaz to say what was happening here. Matt was bashing on fucking Posh Spice. I fucking love Posh Spice.
Ginger or nothing, man. Ginger or nothing.
You just seem like a
Really
fan.
sorry, man. No.
Are you two on drugs?
All right. That said,
S Club 7,
vegetable
man.
gaming, I think we can all
S Club
agree, has
7,
gone to
okay.
very co-brain.
But there was
Rachel
a serious-
for S Club 7.
There was a
Yeah,
serious
that's awesome.
topic
We got
here. And the serious topic was, is steak actually good enough
Yes.
to have a shot at qualifying for a major, for example? I look at that roster. There is enough talent on that roster that I think if they were not in EU, they would have an outside shot at qualifying. They're not going to get through the Are you kidding me? They're not going to get through the EU field.
There's a reason why
That
vegetable
region is
esports.
ridiculous.
There's a reason why vegetable esports is not playing in the tier 1 part of Division 1 of the JDL. They're playing in the Division 2 part of the European JDL after being top finisher in the NA qualifiers.
Oh, Toby,
Ouch.
keep it
That
real.
was impressive. I'm going to give you points because that was like the best
Yes,
hidden burn I've
good.
seen tonight.
It's not a burn. He's not. That's not ace.
It's a statement of fact.
Right,
People
that's true.
don't realize the EU major qualifier field is it's ridiculous.
I was like,
See, hang on. This is the point when I almost want to use my soapbox right now. Am I allowed to do that for a completely off-topic piece?
Sure, why not? Go for it.
It's a tangent. It's a tangent.
1 minute on the clock. Do your thing.
Wonderful. I hate going in time marks. But basically, like a long time ago, well, not even a long time ago, recently I brought it back up again, that the qualifiers should not be regionally based just because of the imbalance in the region. And every time you run a major or TI, we end up having teams represent all around the world, and we end up getting a real imbalance of power as far as the teams go. I kind of feel like we end up having these. What was the freaking team? I think it was MUFC that lost every single game when they attended TI2. Like Moscow 5, who one of their players even turned up drunk and didn't even play. Like we have these times when we have big competitions, and to say the top 12 teams are there is not possible just because of the way the qualifiers are done, because you don't run them in a competitive environment, you run them on an online environment, and you limit them to each region. I'm all for each region having a chance, but you've then fuck it. I know Nahaz is going to massively disagree with me because we've talked about this.
We've been over this,
and we both clash heads every single time we bring this up.
No, it's called the international for a reason, Toby. You have to have all the regions represented. Now, what I've proposed in the past.
I'm sorry. When was the last time I saw a Turkish team represented there?
Oh please! That's like people bitching about. All right. Anyway, I'm not even.
Is it possible for the Peruvians to actually compete in the online qualifier? Do they not have to travel to North America and play from the BTS house?
I'm sorry, Toby. Did Team Unknown play in Frankfurt?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Did that happen? Did they win the Open qualifier and then win?
Yeah, but didn't they travel to America to actually play their qualifier game? Because they were incapable of playing it from their country. Actually, no, that was the other Peruvian.
That was not
That was not today.
That was not
today. Okay. So
where's the dumpster graphic? I got it square right here.
You do. You get that for turning that one around. Last thoughts on Stake specifically in terms of a lot of people are asking, can we have Synderen back as an analyst, or is he really going to stick to this run as a pro?
I don't blame Sin for wanting to try.
Right.
And like in Dota, it seems to be a lot less concrete in terms of when analysts truly retire. And we saw that with Vegetable. Obviously, Vegetable is a fun team, but you see people kind of like ping-ponging a little bit between staying on the desk or just like going back to teams, going back to tier 2 teams, that kind of stuff. I'm looking at I'm even thinking about Mad. Mad could easily have transitioned into a full-time desk role. I think he did really well at ESL.
No question.
no question. But like, you know, there is that competitive spirit that makes them want to try. And again, bringing up game that must not be named in League, people don't do that. People retire and then they go onto the desk if there's a spot there, and they stay there forever. But that's obviously because I think there's a little bit more solid opportunities from Riot and that kind of stuff.
They have these things called contracts.
Yes, contracts and stable jobs and that kind of stuff. But my point is that Dota seems a little bit more open in terms of, you know, people not letting that die. They want to keep playing and they don't.
Well, it's an important part of your credibility. I mean, trust me, I may know as well as anybody the constant battle that you fight. If you're not capable of playing the game at a tier 1 professional level, you have a very big uphill battle to fight for people just not to dismiss what you say outright. And I mean, I've made some progress recently in doing some of these videos that have been better received than I thought they'd be. But man, Toby was the one. Toby told me this a year and a half ago, and I kind of thought he was hating, but he was absolutely right that look, if you're not a former professional player, the uphill battle that you have to fight to be recognized as someone who forget the term expert, who isn't an idiot, is very high. It's a high bar.
Because there's only so many roles that you can have that are, I don't want to say the ignorant, the well-meaning ignorant person. It's like you really have to step up. And that's something that when I left the score, I realized, okay, if I want to still be involved in Dota, I need to be able to make that grind. And I need to, as much as some people say, okay, you know, the number doesn't necessarily matter, it still is going to be the first thing that people bring up there. And
all right, that's the time we have for the topic. Good point. I also, obviously, Nahaz gave you a good point for making a reference to what Toby told you a year ago. Toby got 2 points for saying it a year ago. Congratulations, Toby, for getting points for saying that.
Okay,
Thanks, Nahaz.
Your scale sucks, Toffee.
People points based on what I say.
Sucks.
This is the third show.
I know. I find it entertaining. I think it's funny.
Nahaz is a professor. He can't help but talk in quotes.
And he gives credit where credit is due, and I respect that. So you got a point. That's fun. All
He
right.
references his work.
Let's talk about Shanghai, guys. There's a lot to talk about in terms of what's happened recently. We are going to, I thought about separating them because we wanted to, but I'm just going to roll them together at this point. Shanghai Major Talent Invites has been, for lack of a better word, a clusterfuck. We now finally believe that we know that James is potentially the host. I don't even know if that's 100% true at this point.
No, he tweeted it, so there's no. Yeah, James Harding, as far as anyone has ever told me, he's going to be hosting.
Okay, so Shanghai Majors, let's talk about this as you can go either way with this one, and we'll see where the conversation heads. As far as the talent sort of redressing the fans and saying who's coming, does that need to be improved, or does it really not matter? The tournament's about the players, and it doesn't really matter who's hosting or who's on the panel.
Wait, what?
Well, nothing's been announced. Everything's leaking out through Twitter, right?
Okay, but part of that obviously is that to my knowledge, Perfect World does not have a broadcast partner. So from what I understood, the original plan was to have Perfect World actually partner with someone to handle the production side of things. And my understanding currently is they never did this. And so I have heard a number of accounts about the process by which invites were decided, which I just have chosen to ignore. Because if they're actually true, I'm fucking done.
Fair enough.
There was a lot of things. Like I'm not going to go into detail, even though I know everything that actually happened because I was involved. But pretty much Perfect World do actually have broadcasting partners. In fact, they're using multiple partners. The thing you have to remember is that China, normally when they do a Chinese event, they care about China. You look at DAC, the reason why, like there was actually a Reddit thread I think Nahaz was posting in, and it was just like, what made DAC so wonderful, I think was one of the topics that came up.
What?
Yeah, I think I saw your post in one of those.
I posted about DAC being wonderful?
No, you didn't. You posted about something else about DAC not being so wonderful, but you tried to correct someone who was trying to say it was so wonderful because of everything the Perfect World did at the event.
Okay.
And at the same time,
now we're on the same.
Yeah, most of the people who were talking were actually talking about the English coverage that was done by BTS. which was actually
who were not in China.
Who were not in China. And this is the critical part where you basically just have it where China is like, okay, we're going to run an awesome event. What do we need? Everything China, everything China, everything China. What about external? Like, what about not China? You over there in the corner, you take care of that. Talk to someone you know who's going to take care of that. Okay, I've got LD's phone number here. Let's just fucking call LD. We call up LD. LD, we want to run something really cool for DAC. He's like, you know what? I've got this wonderful studio in this awesome house. I got access to all these people. I've got fucking money everywhere. And all of a sudden, like, there is a wonderful coverage, and all the English viewers like, you know what? DAC was an amazing event, and they tie in the live cameras at the event. And this makes a wonderful broadcast which people can enjoy. Now, when was the last time you saw a Chinese event streamed in English from China?
I don't know.
Anyone.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I can tell you the last one that was actually streamed from China.
The last Dota 2 event or the last esports event, because there are sure events in other games that do
the last Dota 2 event. It was actually in the first year of Dota, and it was WCG when they were still running Dota 1 and Dota 2. This was when we had Wolf and Caldor, the guys from GSL, coming over to cast, and I actually ended up casting the finals with Caldor. And it was a shitty monitor, which I had a Korean observer that couldn't see anything, doing the work there, and that was the last time ever a Dota 2 event was actually cast in China. Unless I'm incorrect, that would be it. It's the only one I know to this date. And this is now, like, I'm being put back into that position where I had probably the worst experience ever. Like, it was actually worse than Gaming Paradise on a level of
Wow.
Don't say things you can't take back.
Come on. The event will actually happen, and prize money will, well, maybe prize money.
My desk fell over. My desk fell over, and I was holding the freaking monitor, which the observer was doing and casting from a monitor, in my hands, while my headset was being ripped off my head by the box that was falling to the ground. This was
and I walked uphill in the snow
both ways.
Old man Dodo broadcasting.
This is what happened there, and I'm really interested to see what happens when we all turn up to the China Major and what we're actually presented with.
A very important point in all this, and I see this all the time in other industries, and it's happening now in esports, is that a lot of people from the outside have this habit of assuming that just because the prize pool gets bigger, just because all of a sudden there are 8 figures after the $sign, that it's like sprinkling pixie dust on things and all of a sudden everything's going to be organized and smoothly run. No, tournaments that were badly organized and run before are generally going to be badly organized and run now. Right. I mean, there's a reason that it took how many months for EG to actually get paid their prize money from DAC. That's what I'm concerned about here.
You're concerned about players getting paid out from this tournament?
No, that's
concerned about overall smoothness.
I'm concerned about just the whole thing being smoothly run. And Toby, your statement a few minutes ago was actually the first I had heard in any kind of official capacity that Perfect World had actually had relationships with anybody else.
That was actually when Perfect World was first announced as the Dota 2 partner. They had a stand at WCG the first time ever.
Yeah, but you said that they actually have
prior to the Shanghai
with outside production teams for Shanghai.
For Shanghai.
Or were you referring?
Oh no!
You were referring to. Oh, you were referring to something in the past. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was referring to WCG. Oh, if
no, I'm referring to the Shanghai Major. Perfect World.
Oh, yes.
As far as I'm aware, has not announced any official broadcast partner.
They haven't announced anyone. But what's the first thing you're going to ask when you're a talent flying to a foreign country to do coverage for a huge event? Who am I working with? Was the first question I wanted to have asked. And I got an unofficial answer of 2 groups. Now, one for Chinese and one for English. I have no idea what the fuck is going to happen with the Russians. Might also be one of those reasons too why I'm very skeptical about Dreyich actually having more than just a table in the middle of the fucking.
So that was actually the next thing I wanted to bring up. We'll just roll that into this.
I'm glad I'm just like your transition king tonight.
You're doing great. Papa Dreyich brought up. That
You're Vanna White, Toby.
Well, he tried to raise money to go. They said you can't come. They came back and said we'll give you a spot, and he raised $5,000, I think, in like 24 hours to help cover.
And he met the goal in less than 24 hours.
Right, less than 24 hours. So.
And good for him. God bless the guy.
Kudos to the fans of Dota over there, obviously, who want to see that language, their local language caster on site. That said, is there a genuine worry that Toby brought up here that he's just going to get a table and a chair and the backlash could be greater than the cost?
Okay, there is absolutely that worry. Okay, honestly, there's that worry for the English cast.
True.
To me, but we'll see. The point being, look, Papa Dreyich is a special case, okay, and the audience that he represents is a special case. We have been, in my opinion, we've become a little bit too preoccupied with stream views, with viewer numbers. Guys, viewer numbers are not the full story. Okay, the vast majority of viewer numbers for a lot of these Twitch streams come via links from betting sites. They're not necessarily people that are invested in actually watching the games for anything other than
their own personal game.
Their skins. They're not clicking on ads. They're not providing revenue or growth to the sport in a lot of other ways that we think of when we think about viewer numbers being economically valuable. Dreyich's viewer numbers are small. He is a very well-established caster. He's contributed a lot to the scene, and most importantly, the Swedish audience is a very, very special and important esports audience. Despite, maybe not being certainly not even the largest audience in Europe, that's a place that has a very, very rich tradition in esports. I think that a Swedish language cast deserves to be represented at an event of this caliber.
I agree. So, Toby, do you foresee issues? I mean, I guess do you foresee issues for casters in general? Do you think the Great Wall of China is going to be too much to deal with, or the Great Firewall of China?
I would foresee issues for all the viewers.
Yeah,
I remember when we talked to Twitch about doing streams. Like, I messaged Trance when I found out the event was in China. I'm like, hey, Trance, can Twitch even stream in China? And like, can you stream out of China? Because you got to hit Ninja server. And his simple answer is, we highly recommend that you don't.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so for an event which must be streamed on Twitch and on YouTube, and it must be presented in 1080p at 60 frames per second quality, this is a requirement of Valve for anyone who ever does a production for a major. How are you going to achieve that? Because that means you're streaming at probably, well, to Twitch, you're doing it 3.5. For YouTube, you're going up at 5. And your processing power of these machines also have to be quite powerful.
You're saying with 3.5 and 5 is in thousands of bit rate, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Just clarifying for the viewer.
Yep. So you need to be able to stream to that. And
LD in chat is like, lol, 1080p
60.
Yeah, it's like we're all just sitting here going, I don't know how this is possible. And this is one of the times when I maybe even would have suggested that you don't stream from China and that you actually have a media team on the ground there that gets you a whole bunch of external content. I know it's something which we all hate because you always have commentators and analysts there communicating with the players at the event. That's what you want to have.
That was my issue, though, that if you were going to do this in China, you had to have an external broadcast partner that could bring in IT infrastructure experts to address these issues. You can't just have random guys in the truck.
Fair enough. All right, I think that
I'm not perfect world.
There is no perfect.
I'm sorry. I'm not yelling at you.
There is no perfect.
Really frustrating.
No, I agree completely, and I think that I'm sure that as we get closer and watch Shanghai Majors, there'll be all kinds of that discussion here on the show as it continues to go forward. That is about it as far as full topic times that we have. We do want to do the lightning round to give everybody a chance to secure a few extra points and to hear 1 minute of your opinions on a topic. The lightning round that we chose for this evening's topic is, I'm going to give each of you 1 minute to talk about the meta so far, the good, the bad, the ugly, and where you think it might go for the major. We will start. Does anybody want to volunteer to start, or should I arbitrarily pick based on your position on the screen?
I pick Nahaz.
All right. So because
What face?
because Toby nominated Nahaz and Nahaz gave us the what face, we're gonna go with Matt Demers to kick us off in the lightning round.
Awesome. I can.
All right, Matt. 1 minute on the
Lowest
clock.
score.
Last chance to secure some points.
Oh, boy.
Lay it on me.
Pretty much, I haven't been watching as much competitive Dota as I should be, so my observations on the meta are honestly a little bit lacking. But from what I've been able to see, at least from some hero trends from both Star Ladder and the Shanghai qualifiers, anyway, it seems that we're kind of looking forward to just pushing, just push Chen and Venge, and just people that can really benefit from both Aetherlands and just kind of like keeping their team as sustained as possible without providing putting any giant risk on the push. I think a lot of players don't really like this because they feel like locked into a certain position. Like once a composition gets rolling, they're just like, okay, well, I guess we got to ride this out for the next 20 minutes or, half hour, how long the game takes to end. So obviously I think a lot of players are a little bit frustrated, but it basically gives us a little bit more of a chance to look at macro play as opposed to micro ones. And for some reason, that's a lot more difficult to kind of convey on this, significance and that kind of stuff. So I think as things kind of go, we'll be able to hopefully see a little bit of subversion to that and kind of get back towards some micro play. But that's pretty much what I'm looking at. A lot of people think it's boring right now, but I think it's I don't know. I'm hoping it gets better.
Wow, can I go next? Because I already see Nahaz wanting to rant at you.
Yep. I wasn't claiming.
We got 1 minute on the clock for Toby. Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Just to make Nahaz feel happy, I don't think the meta right now is boring. I'm actually enjoying the push meta. I like to actually have this back. It actually brings us back to what we kind of always wanted to have with Dota, which was quicker, more intense timing style games. Because the longer the games drag out, sometimes they get epic, but at the same time, it's a scheduling nightmare, and you really lose viewers as the games go longer. So I'm actually happy on that front. Alliance recently sponsored Gabe Newell's recent Porsche purchase. Hence the patch is now heavily balanced towards it's just
bribery.
That's where it's full on fucking bribery.
Don't give him that.
The lone drill is so powerful again. The split push meta is back. S4 has been given a new leash on life and he has embraced it fully. So Alliance is more than back. They are now the front runners. And other teams are having real issues trying to catch up to the whole timing of it all too. So teams like Vega, for example, I really want to see more coming out from them because they were one of the teams that really impressed me back with the whole push kind of lineup. So, man, it's a new age for teams, and I think some teams can really draft their way to victory in the new patch.
All right, that was pretty good. Nahaz, you get to go last. You've had your chance to hear what they say. We got a minute on the clock. Let's hear what you've got for us.
Well, I'm glad these guys know because the fact is, guys, when you look at the numbers, the 686 meta is still not settled. We don't know what the top heroes are going to be at Shanghai. We don't know what the top strats are going to be. Anytime you look back to 6.85, you're early on in a patch, lane dominance is going to be at a premium. We saw this at ESL New York. We saw this at MLG Worlds. We saw it again at Star Ladder. We're seeing teams win lanes and push. That doesn't mean that that's what we're going to see at Shanghai. Chen is completely overpowered. Chen's elo shift hero rate right now is twice what Doom was in 6.85, twice what any heroes has been over the last 4 patches. He's completely OP. The Hand of God nerf was necessary. But otherwise, guys, we are assuming that this is going to be the Alliance meta and the Alliance patch. I'm not at all convinced it is. We would have said before Star Ladder that Death Prophet was the OP hero of this patch and going to need a nerf. Death Prophet was 4-12 in that event. She is 31st out of 37 heroes above the threshold in this elo shift hero rating that we've got going. We don't know how heroes are going to go. The recent nerfs were good. The Aether Lens nerf was absolutely necessary for about 4 different reasons that I can name. The Invoker Agi game was a necessary change, but not enough. I don't think we know what's going to happen at Shanghai, guys.
Fair enough. I think that's a good assessment. All right, guys, that wraps up the time that we have for the lightning round. Let's take a look at where our scores stand right now.
The come from behind Nahaz. I was like, he needs 5 points in order to win, and somehow
he pulled it out. He's the one who talked about the future of the meta, and I think that the Death Prophet point was pretty gosh darn compelling. Matt,
I had points.
You did, yeah. You did. Matt
Classic
Demers comes in third place at 22 points. Maybe he could have done better if he watched some Pro Dota instead of just talked some Pro Dota.
Hey, the last half of the show was all about talent discussions, man, and I'm not getting invited to events, so I don't have any knowledge about that kind of stuff.
Fair enough. All right.
Well, neither am I, buddy. So.
Okay.
Nice. Nice. All right. So Matt over there on the on your right. Matt, do you have any last words before we sign out for the evening?
No, just check out betterdota.com. I'm trying to get my stream kind of going really hardcore at the moment. So if you want to check out twitch.tv/Matt Demers, you can follow me on there, and that would really help. If you want to go to mattdemers.com/social, you'll find out all the places where I am on the internet. And yeah, give me some follows. Thanks for having me on the show. And yeah, I appreciate you guys not wrecking me too hard. Let's put it that way.
All right. Second place, TobiWan Dota joining us all the way from CET. I think I had the one, and then Nahaz pulled the Death Prophet, and I had to hand it over. Any last thoughts before we sign out for the night?
Yeah, I suppose like the normal things. TobiWan Dota for all that other jazz, social networking crap. TobiWan on my Twitch channel. I'm actually using that a hell of a lot more, and actually getting subscribers to that. And last of all, to LD, you're my inspiration to lose weight. He's done a great job, and he is going to punch Nahaz in the face next time Nahaz is invited to an event.
Nice. All right, so we've got a grudge match.
Why am I getting punched in the face?
Because you obviously beat me, and I didn't even realize it.
Wow.
Oh,
all right.
Toby.
So,
Here you go, buddy. Here you go. I got one for you.
Well done.
Wow, you actually keep a box of tissues next to your computer.
Turned back around. Nahaz, you won. You've got 35 points. The Aegis is yours, and you've earned 1 minute uninterrupted to say whatever you want to say. And on the back of what you just heard, you may enjoy that a little too much. So the minute is yours. Say away, sir.
I am not going to take the low road. I'm going to take the high road. Guys, both of these guys are quality people. Please do. They're both streaming a lot now. They're highly enjoyable to watch. Please give them some follows. They're awesome guys. I have, by the way, I was super disappointed not to be invited to Shanghai, but I have absolutely no problem with it. It's a much smaller team right now. If I had to if I had to object to something about that, I would object to my friend Knoxville not being invited to do stats. The amount that he is contributing right now to statistics in the Dota 2 scene is absolutely insane. I think he deserved to be recognized. I would like to see him there. If anybody's looking for an analyst, please hire this guy. But it's been my pleasure to be on the show. I don't have the nice little dumpster graphic for Toby, so I'm just going to have to draw it for you guys. But what can I say? School's out.
Nice. Nicely done. All right, everybody. Guys, that is it for the show tonight. I do want to, before we wrap up, say I'm sorry you won't be attending Nahaz. I do enjoy listening to you on the panel. However, kudos and congratulations to TobiWan, who I am excited to see travel to China and help us see for the first time that a LAN broadcast from China hopefully will.
I'm not helping with shit.
You're bringing the hype. The hype encourages the staff.
Hang on. Do you remember the hashtag that I made up during Gaming Paradise? Hashtag JustCaster. It's pretty much what I think a lot of us are going to be clinging to. It's yeah.
Well,
I'm just hoping people can watch the games. That's all I'm hoping for.
I have said this to you many times before, and I will say it again on air, and that's you were the one that made me want to play Dota because I heard the passion in your voice when you cast the game. It's the same passion that I have when I'm up in front of a classroom. You keep that passion, and you're going to be it's going to be a great cast no matter what the conditions are, no matter where in the world it is, man. Shanghai's
I'm gonna have fun. I'm just hoping everyone else isn't there watching on Twitch streamers going fucking Carle.
yeah.
That's all.
Go to 2.pptx.
I was about to say it's a PowerPoint. It's gonna be good.
That's what I'm worried about. And it's like, we at least when we transmit audio into the game, it's going directly into Perfect World server, so it should
And
be
the Kappa Pride's in chat.
in Dota TV, right? No,
Right.
it should be good.
In theory, it should be
In theory,
better. So-
until it all lags out when people try and watch it on Dota TV because Perfect World can't transmit like that.
Right. So it should be interesting.
Nahaz, you fucking know it.
I'm the optimist. That's my role.
Everyone knows that we are fighting insurmountable fucking odds.
Toby, I've tried. I really have. I have tried talking to a number of people about this. I think there is the very real potential for this to be a logistical catastrophe, but unfortunately,
what you should do is set up a stream from your home, a Nahaz bedroom stream. Like, it's gonna be more.
I don't think anybody wants to see that, brother. Wait a minute. What am I talking about? I'm married. There's nothing would happen on that.
Oh, I'm married too, and I understand that too.
Wow.
I'm alone forever. It's all right.
Oh,
I get the jokes.
No,
Wow, I feel sorry for you now.
I actually have, in all seriousness, had people say things to me like, "Oh, you guys ought to have us." I will never do something like that because I feel it's disrespectful to the talent at the event, unless there's some kind of just.
Well, in that case, just call up Grant.
Oh,
that man.
wow. He's got a lot better, by the way.
No. He's actually in this point, I never question Grant's motivations on this, because he'll just be there because he did this during TI1, except he was more of a fuckwit when he did it at TI1. Because he tweeted out saying, if you'd like to listen to someone that actually knows about Dota, then watch this stream. I'm like, oh, you son of a but he actually got a lot better. And his end goal is just to make sure that people can watch the games and have multiple options for coverage. And I'm kind of okay with that until a point where he starts like shit talking the other coverage, at which point.
Which probably will happen.
A justifiable issue. And if it fucks with sponsors, then it's a justifiable issue. But if it doesn't,
I was shocked when I met Grant in person, because Grant in person is a very smart and reasonable guy. Not like Grant was a year ago online. Grant, if you watch his stream right now, Grant on stream is a lot more like Grant in person, and it's a really cool thing.
Yes, yeah. It was at TI5, right? I think there was this fun moment where we were on the lower. I was standing next to Nahaz on the lower tier, and Grant was on the second floor. And he leaned over and he goes, "Hey, Nahaz," and Nahaz goes, "Who's that?" Somebody goes, "That's Grant." And like everybody who was walking by just stopped to see if the two of you would start arguing aggressively in the open. And you were both really. It went really, really well. I thought I liked it.
Everybody thinks because I'm like so passionate and I like to argue that everybody thinks that I'm angry. Anyway.
You're just misunderstood.
You are just passionate. Take some of the passion here to your bedroom, Nahaz. Guys, that's all the time we have for the show tonight. I appreciate you being here and tuning in. Thanks to Pro Built Systems, Razer, Asus, and of course our guests and our viewers. My name's Toffees. You can find me at ToffeesTV. Feel free to kick in a follow or don't. It doesn't really bother me either way. Thanks for spending the evening with us. Have a wonderful night, and as always, Toffees out.